Hey, France fans, again, that time of year where we're joined by the Overagers to look at their outstanding OHL careers before they head off and do whatever the next step is for them. Right now, I'm joined by Frontenac's defenseman and NHL drafted and signed Roman Schmidt. First of all, congratulations on being signed by the Lightning. I know it was a few years ago, but that's the first time we've been able to talk about it here in Kingston. Let's start at the beginning. What a great place to start, right? You were drafted in the second round by the Rangers. But that wasn't necessarily the path you decided to take. First of all, take me back to draft day. Do you remember it, what your emotions were like, and what led to the decision to go to the U.S. development program rather than straight to the OHL?
Yeah, for sure. To start, I knew before the draft I was committed to the NTDP. They do their commitment process before the OHL draft earlier in the year, and I was already committed to play there. And I was committed to Boston University at the time, so the emotions weren't as high as some of my buddies who were, their route was to go to the OHL right away. But there's still some anticipation because, still getting drafted, and it's all new for you, the junior hockey. And I knew potentially maybe down the road I could end up in this league, but not at that time. And then when I saw my name called by the Rangers, it was one of the teams I visited earlier during the season. I know kids, they do visits when you're 15 in that minor midget year. You do visits with different teams depending on who's interested. I did a visit with Kitchener, and they were the ones that took a chance on me and hoped that maybe in a couple of years I would fall into their hands, and it's exactly what happened.
Fair enough. Now, you were born in Michigan, which makes you obviously eligible for the development program, but early on you moved to the Ottawa area first and then to Toronto to play in the GTHL. How important was that development-wise for you to get in that level of hockey for the last couple of years of minor before you went over to the U.S. again?
I think it was very important. GTHL is probably the most competitive league you can play at that age. It's not for everyone because it's so competitive. You want to make sure you're in the right spot and you're going to have an opportunity to play and grow as a player. But for me, it was the right opportunity at that time, and it was a really good move for me, and I'm glad I did it. And I got to play on the Don Mills Flyers. I think we only lost one game that year, and I'm still very close with many of those guys today. So, I'm happy that happened, and I'm glad that season happened.
Describe the national team program a little bit for our fans, because obviously we're pretty used to the GTHL or the OMHA feeding players into our system. Not so much with people going down and playing in the U.S. program. So how does that program work, and just kind of a background on what our fans should look for if that ever happens?
Yeah, so a quick summary of the program. They basically take the top kids of a certain age group, the whole United States, top kids, the very best kids that they scout and can find. And for me, I'm a 2003, so they're taking all the 2003s. They bring them in as their rookie year for juniors. We play in the USHL, which is the equivalent of the OHL, just of the whole United States. It's the Tier 1 junior league there. We play against USHL teams, and they only have us for 2 years, our 16-year-old year and our 17-year-old year. And our 17-year-old year, we'll play against college teams, and they'll really push us and working out a lot and training hard. And obviously the practices are quite competitive because it's the top kids from the entire nation. Right. So it's a lot of alpha dogs, if you want to say, in one room that are competing. Even just in practices, we're very intense, which pushes everyone. And the result ends up being a lot of kids get drafted out of these NTDP teams if you look at the history. That's kind of the main thing with that program.
The huge advantage for you specifically based on your year was when the OHL was shut down because of COVID, you still got to play some games, which was your NHL draft year. How much did that benefit you, and what ended up being the result of the Lightning taking you in the NHL draft?
It was a tremendous opportunity. I know a lot of kids didn't play at all. It worked out good for some, not so good for others, because you're missing that year of hockey. You can work out and do skating on your own so much until it's not the same as playing games. Games is the ultimate best development you can do for yourself as a player, and when you miss out on that for a couple of years, it could hurt your development depending on what kind of training you do. But it was definitely, I'm grateful that I was part of that team while that was happening, because we played through most of the COVID stuff. We did have some shutdowns, and it was an up and down year for me. But in the end of the day, I developed, and I'm very happy with how it ended up. I was drafted by the Lightning, and it's one of the best moments of my life so far.
I was just going to say, let's talk about that, because no matter what league you're coming from, that's obviously the ultimate goal, is to get drafted by an NHL team. The Tampa Bay Lightning called your name. What was draft day like for you, and the emotions of that day?
Definitely a lot higher than the OHL one, I'll tell you that. Funny enough, both were in my living room.
Yeah.
Because usually the NHL draft, you go and it's in an arena like this, and you sit down and wait for your name to be called. But because of the COVID draft, it was the second COVID draft that was online. Mm-hmm. So just like the OHL one, I sat in my living room, and it was a lot harder because it was over 2 days. The first round is the first day, and then the rest, rounds 2 to 7 are the second day. And I sat there for a while and was just waiting for my name to be called. I didn't really know where I was going to end up. And obviously the Lightning ended up picking me late in the third round there, and just, rush of emotions. I can't even describe it now. It's never happened since then. It's such a rush and excitement, but you immediately get called by their staff and their general manager, and then you get flooded on social media from their fans, and you start doing interviews already for the Lightning press. So it was an experience for sure, and it was awesome.
The next year, you end up in Kitchener. Was that personal decision? Was that Lightning guided? How did that all play out that you made the switch to the OHL?
That was 100% personal decision. The original plan that summer was to go to Boston University. Looking at it with myself, my family, and my agents, we didn't see as good of an opportunity there for my ice time and for my development as the OHL would be in that specific moment. So I made the decision to go to Kitchener, and they provided a good opportunity for me. And there's, as a league as a whole, there's a lot more games in the OHL than in college, and that's what I thought I needed at the time. And I'm glad I made that decision, and it's been awesome so far. And I think I've really grown as a player and playing that many games and learning how to be a pro.
For sure. Do you remember your first goal? I know I've looked it up. I've seen how important it was. Do you remember your first goal in the OHL?
In the OHL?
Yeah.
Yes, it was actually my first game, regular season game in Kitchener at the Odd, which is a special place to play, as you know, lots of fans. Yeah. And it was a one-timer from a pass from Simon Motu on the power play, and it was just a great feeling. It was cool. It's different, obviously, and the Odd is a special place with so many fans, and they're a great fan base. So doing it in my first game was definitely special.
I believe it was a go-ahead goal in the third period too, in a 4-4
I don't know
game.
the specifics that much. Obviously, you do.
I'm telling you, it was 4-4, and you gave the Rangers a lead with that power play goal. So.
So I guess it was really special for me, and I still do remember it. So it's good. It was a great moment.
It didn't take long for the Lightning to see a lot of promise in you, and they backed that up when they signed you in December 2021 to your entry-level deal. What's that process like? And again, we can talk about emotions a lot, but I'm sure putting pen to paper meant a lot to you.
Yeah, that was a interesting experience. I had no idea it was coming. Really? There was some talks with my agent. They're like, we'll get you signed here. Just play well and do the right things. And the biggest thing about getting signed, it's not how should I say this? It's not an evaluation, because they already picked you and they like you as a player, but it's more so just showing up to camp and working hard and doing the right things and playing well at the end of the day. So, once you put those things together and you're fortunate enough and there's an opening for because they're only allowed so many contracts, but when there's an opening, I was fortunate enough to get a contract early in the season, and it was a good thing that they showed me, and I'm grateful for it. And it just happened one night. Someone reached out and said, "Congrats on the signing," and I didn't know what they meant. Then my agent reached out after and said, "Yeah, congratulations, you're signing your first NHL contract." He Zoom called me, and I was at my buddy's house. I wasn't even at home. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I guess I'm getting signed. So I just signed it on my phone. We didn't even print it out. Digital? I just signed it on digital on my phone. Done, and in my buddy's house. I'm like, oh my God, I just got signed.
What a story.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I wasn't even at home. I wasn't even with my family or anything, but it was just a Zoom call.
Do you remember how you spent your signing bonus, or are you allowed to talk about that?
I don't know the first thing I bought, but the biggest thing I bought was a car.
Fair enough.
Just a Honda Accord. Yeah. Nothing
Gotta get
crazy.
To point A to point B, right?
Old, reliable.
Yeah.
It works very well. It hasn't broken down on me ever since. It's still here.
Love it.
And I'm glad, I'm just very grateful at this age I'm able to buy a car and rely on myself.
For sure. As your OHL career moved on, going into this season, you were able to get your first professional game in with Syracuse. You actually recorded an assist, so you scored your first OHL goal in your first game, and you scored your first AHL point in your first game. Do you remember the assist and how that point played out for you?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but it was a D-to-D, and my partner went down and hit a guy backdoor.
Yeah.
I didn't play very much that night, but I guess I have a knack for that. I get points on my first games in different leagues. Yeah. But, for that experience, it's obviously faster. That level, bigger players, faster, but it was nice to get in the game, and I thought I did well. And obviously, it was nice to get a point.
You're a point-a-game player at the pro level.
Yeah, 1 game, 1 assist. So there you go. It's a good point PPG.
That's right. Yeah. You did end up back with the Rangers. Unfortunately for them, great for us, the overage situation was a little clouded there. You ended up being traded to Kingston. We had some needs on defense. A right-handed shot with your size and physicality was exactly what Corey was looking for. Talk about that trade and what it's meant to you to play here with the Frontenacs over the last 4 or 5 months.
That was another new experience. I've never been traded before. It was the first thing for me, but it was seamless. You know, ever since I stepped in my billet house for the first time and met all the boys here and came to the rink, it was a great experience, and they welcomed me with open arms. Within a week, I felt at home. Felt like I didn't even get traded. So I'm super grateful it happened. I love playing here. I love this rink. I love the fans here, and I don't have bad things to say. There's only good things to say about Kingston. I love the town. So
well, I know our fans feel the same way about you.
That's
so
awesome.
Far. I don't know if you know this, but your points per game in Kingston has nearly doubled from your career high when you were in Kitchener. You're 0.81 points per game with us, and I believe your previous high was 0.49. What has the Frontenac's system or coaching or whatever it might be done to help you break out a little more offensively in your game?
It's very simple. They gave me the opportunity to play as the player I am, and they let me be myself. They didn't put any restrictions on me. They didn't hold me back. They didn't cut my ice time. They allowed me to play and grow as a player and let me be myself, and they allowed me to open up and be the player that I am, and that's the result of it.
As we move into the playoffs here, you're about to play your last couple regular season games in the OHL. Do you have any memories from your time in the OHL that stick out to you? I know the first couple years of eligibility were spent down south, but still 3 years in the OHL, there's got to be something that sticks out for you.
You really put me on the spot there. I think one that really sticks out for me is last year in the playoffs. We were the 8th seed, and we played Windsor, which were they're the 1 seed, and we swept them. I think it was the first time in history that's ever happened, and Jacob Holmes is standing over here. Yeah, I think he was on that team, so it's funny that he's over there. But that was very special. Just the atmosphere at home on those last 2 games. I've never heard a rink so loud, cheering all kinds of things. And it's a college town too in Kitchener, so you have a bunch of the college kids. So that's definitely a very special moment. And then I'm going to take you back to the playoffs the year before. Okay. We were the 7th seed, I believe, or 8th. We were playing London, and the Kitchener-London is quite the rivalry. Yeah. And we beat them in 7 games in overtime. Yeah. That was pretty special, and I've beaten them in the Budweiser Gardens there with 9,000 fans watching. It was something pretty special. I've never been a part of anything like that.
Hopefully your best memory is still to come down this playoff.
That would be amazing.
Next steps for you. I know the Lightning have a lot to say about this, but what are you hoping to accomplish in the next, obviously after the playoff run, we know what you're looking for there, but once the OHL career is ended, what are you hoping to accomplish for the next few seasons?
It's very simple. I want to play in the NHL. Yeah. I'm shooting for that. I know I can play there, and it's just a matter of when a spot will open up and the opportunity will come, and I'm ready. I think when it comes, I'll be ready, and I'm going to take it, and that's what I'm shooting for.
I know we're all looking forward to seeing you put on that Lightning jersey one day, and before that happens, if it's in Syracuse, then our fans can make a quick trip across the border to see you play there as well.
Yeah, it's not far from here, and the AHL is a very good level of hockey, and there's no shame in playing the AHL. No. Guys develop in the AHL all the time. I'm not saying I'm going to skip the AHL. I'm open to any path, but obviously the ultimate goal is playing in the NHL. It's the dream since I was a kid, and I want to make it happen, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, as you should be. To get to this point, it's a support system, no matter how you look at it. There's people behind you that have helped you get here. We always give our OAs a chance to thank those people. Is there anyone specifically you want to shout out that's helped you get to the point you're at right now?
First thing's the no-brainer for me is my parents and my grandparents, especially the grandparents on my mother's side. They had a lot of sacrifices in terms of funds for hockey, just because it's so expensive. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's even more expensive than when I grew up nowadays. But that's I wouldn't be here. It wouldn't be possible because we weren't the most fortunate. We didn't have endless money. So my grandparents helped with that on my mom's side, and just my mom and my dad just supporting me firsthand and and raising me. I think that's a big thing for me. They've always been there, and they're also figure skating coaches, so they've helped me a lot on the ice with power skating and whatnot. So there's so many things that they've done for me that I can thank them for. I'd say that's the main thing, and just any coach I've had, even before juniors, obviously I'd be thankful for, just because I've learned something from each coach. Some coaches you like more than others. It's just part of life. You like certain people more than others. It's a normal thing. I wouldn't say any of my coaches were bad, but I've obviously have coaches that I bonded with maybe more closer, but I'm grateful for all of them. I've learned things from all of them, and I wouldn't be here without those coaches that I had today. And obviously my teammates too,
of course,
especially here. Like, this is one of the most enjoyment I've had on a team in terms of the group of guys. I really enjoy playing with these guys, even though it was only half a year since Christmas. So that's kind of the main things that come to mind when you ask that.
Roman, we really appreciate you taking the time. We're looking forward to the playoff run, obviously, first and foremost. But I think I can speak for all of our fans. We're really excited to see where your career takes you next and watch your next step as you head to the NHL.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's Roman Schmidt, defenseman for the Kingston Frontenacs. He prepares for his final 2 regular season games before we head into a long playoff run, hopefully, here in Kingston. But when that playoff run ends, long or short, the Tampa Bay Lightning will be waiting for the big defenseman.